Hello and welcome back to the Cosmic Engine. Thanks to Chapter Master Valker's suggestion over Twitter, I have finally chosen a name for the show, as you can tell, which is the Astronomican. I thought it was pretty cool. So since I did an episode on the Orc factions that were announced and what they were all about, people have been asking me to do one for the Space Marines. I'm going to go through the chapters. Now please be aware that this is a very brief overview, as some of these chapters have some seriously deep lore and it would take a series of videos to go through each one. So I'm just going to keep it very brief, very concise, and give a brief overview to each chapter. So let's start with the Ultramarines. So the Ultramarines have fought in a manner prescribed to the Codex Astartes for over 10 millennia. They adhere strictly to the teachings of the Codex Astartes, and any deviation from the words that are written on those pages is considered blasphemy to a Ultramarine. To the chapter, the Codex Astartes is a divine work of wisdom sanctified by the God Emperor himself. The Ultramarines recruit their new Astartes from various populations in the worlds which make up the realm of Ultramar. The realm of Ultramar is in the galaxy's eastern fringe. The chapter homeworld of the Ultramarines is the world of Macragge, and on Macragge, their Primarch and founder of their chapter, Primarch Gulliman, sits preserved in death behind a stasis field. The Ultramarines are the epitome of honour and courage. They are idolised throughout the Imperium. They are often held up as the almost standard of what a Space Marine chapter should be. They are unusual in the respect of they have a lot of sympathy for the lower citizens of the Imperium because the Ultramarines control such a vast area of space. They have a lot of dealings with normal day-to-day citizens, other than the other chapters. The other chapters remain somewhat secluded from normal Imperial life. The Ultramarines really don't specialise in any given form of combat. They do have some specialists, but they tend to be the ultimate generalists. They excel in most forms of combat, but they do not specialise in one single form. Now let's move on to the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels are a big chapter. They are well known across the galaxy for their bloodthirsty nature in battle, and they are feared for their curse in their gene seed. The curse, of course, being that they need to drink human blood. The Blood Angels are also amongst the longest lived Space Marines. Some of their chapter are said to have served the Imperium for over 1,000 standard years. Many of the Blood Angels are said to suffer from a madness called the Black Rage. Now this is brought on by, in battle, some of the Blood Angels have visions of the death of their Primarch, and they go crazy, leaping forward and tearing enemies and allies alike limb from limb. Others are said to be afflicted by the terrible red thirst, a craving for blood which some claim, mainly people like the Inquisition claim, that is the first sign of the corruption of chaos. The Blood Angels like to take a fast and aggressive approach to battle. They like to go in hard and fast. They favour things like assault troops, and as I say, they love a quick and brutal fight. People who are afflicted, those Marines who are afflicted by the Black Rage, can often go in and cause almost unwinnable situations to become victories, simply because of their sheer determination and bloodlust in battle. However, it can cause issues if that does get out of control. And now for the Space Wolves. The Space Wolves come from their homeworld of Fenris. They are infamous and renowned for their extreme deviation from the Codex Astartes and their very anti-authoritarian ways. The Space Wolves themselves even have their own dialect, known as Juvik. In their own tongue, they call themselves Vika Fenrika. I think that's how you pronounce it anyway, and that basically means Wolves of Fenris. Their deviation from the Codex Astartes can be seen in the way that they organise their squads. Instead of organising their Space Marine squads as the Codex Astartes dictates, they often form their own battle brothers into packs, and each pack will be generally made up of people who have fought together over a long period of time, and they will work together like a pack of Pharisian wolves. Very similar to the Blood Angels, the Space Wolves also suffer from a gene seed flaw. This flaw often leaves Space Wolves to gain canine traits as they age, such as enlarged canines, abnormal hair growth, and yellow eyes. In some Space Wolves, in the heat and passion of battle, the mutation actually proceeds even further and they transform into wolf-like humanoids. These Space Marines who transform into the wolf-like humanoids are said to bear the mark of Wolfen by the other Space Wolves, and that is because basically after the battle they leave with enlarged canines and big bestial claws. The only time a Space Wolf will ever fully transform into a proper wolf-like humanoid is when they are exposed to large and large amounts of warp energy. Contrary to what the Imperial Inquisition believe, which is that it's a chaos mutation, it is in fact a defense mechanism. This transformation actually gives Space Wolves more resistance to chaos corruption than other standard Space Marines. And last but by no means least, the mysterious Dark Angels. The Dark Angels are considered extremely powerful but extremely secretive, and they were actually the first legion created in the first original 20 Space Marine legions. The Dark Angels hold a really terrible secret, and that is back over 10,000 standard years ago during the Horus Heresy. Some of their Dark Angel brethren were turned by the powers of chaos, and they actually survived, and they were scattered through the galaxy by the Chaos Gods. These survivors are known only to a few Dark Angels who have been granted the knowledge, and they are known as the Fallen. The Dark Angels themselves, above all else, strive to atone for those crimes committed against the Emperor and the Imperium over 10,000 years ago. Due to them having possession of these terrible secrets in the past, they actually have become very reclusive in nature, and as such they are looked upon with great suspicion by Imperial authorities, especially the Imperial Inquisition. The Dark Angels themselves have no homeworld to speak of as it was destroyed, so they actually recruit from a variety of Imperial worlds. The Dark Angels follow the very standard combat doctrine of the Codex Astartes. However, they hold great resistance in battle, and they're very stubborn, and their stubborn nature often leads them to stand their ground even when they should retreat. The Dark Angels are extremely intolerant of non-humans and mutants. They are also highly mistrustful of the Imperial Inquisition and actually refuse to fight alongside any force that incorporates a member of the Inquisition. And that's it for this episode of the Astronomican. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, leave a comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.